Yo, 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 YouTube, what is up? Welcome into the BK Lounge. It is July 16th, 2020. We are live. I think we're good to go. Everything looks good. Stream's looking good. Got a couple of y'all viewing right now. At least that's what YouTube is telling me. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Hope y'all are having a good Thursday to this point. If you see the title of this video, you probably know what we're talking about today. It's an emerging position battle at the University of Texas. A position battle that a lot of people kind of assumed wasn't a position battle. It didn't exist. Everybody kind of assumed, all right, this guy's the obvious number one. He's the obvious starter. He's going to be the guy for the Longhorns in 2020. But I'm just not so sure that's the case. I'm not as confident as a lot of people are that this guy is going to be the guy for Texas at his specific position. And I'm talking about running back, and I'm talking about Kiante Ingram, the junior running back, coming off a pretty good year for Texas. Led the Longhorns in rushing a season ago. I believe had 853 yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, averaged nearly 6 yards a carry, which you can absolutely live with that. 29 catches as well, 3 receiving touchdowns for Kiante Ingram. So had a pretty good year last year as a sophomore, and it seemed like he was the clear-cut incumbent to be the starting. I don't know if that makes sense. He was the incumbent, and it seemed like he was the clear-cut number one going into his junior season, going into the 2020 season at Texas. Of course, we're knocking on wood that we even have a season this year. But I'm telling y'all, you got to watch out for Roschon Johnson, and you have to watch out for Bijan Robinson. So Chip Brown of Horns 24/7 has been doing a great job tallying all of these notes and nuggets from Texas practice. And this is the first week of mandatory practice that the Longhorns have had since COVID-19. The first week the actual coaching staff has been able to be with the players, right? For the last few weeks, it was technically voluntary workouts, but it was only the strength staff that was on campus with the players. Now you've got the actual coaches with the players. And Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with the coaches are mainly lifting and running drills. But Tuesday and Thursday so far this week, and I think that's the plan for at least next week and maybe a few weeks moving forward, Tuesday, Thursday are the on-field drills. So in terms of juicy nuggets, some insight into what could happen with the Longhorns this fall, that's the stuff you're going to get on Tuesday and Thursday. So Chip put a good article out on Tuesday, and he put a good article out this morning on Horns 24/7. And one of his biggest takeaways, and I think one of the biggest noteworthy things that he's put out there so far, Kiante Ingram has been plagued by a hamstring injury. Apparently it's been an off and on issue since April, so 3 months now. And right now, Kiante Ingram hasn't been practicing a whole lot. Roschon Johnson has been getting the number one reps, and Bijan Robinson is also getting some opportunities, and at least he will have more of an opportunity now with Kiante Ingram not being on the field. And an exact quote that Chip Brown used, Roschon and Bijan are healthy and highly motivated. Kiante needs to get healthy and get on the field. Chip Brown said he got that from a team source. So that is some big news right there, right? I mean, Kiante Ingram, a guy who has battled injuries over the first 2 years of his Texas career, battled some injuries in high school at Carthage as well, now battling a hamstring injury, and those things linger, right? Those things don't go away as quickly as you would like. And once again, Kiante dealt with leg injuries last year, dealt with a hamstring injury at times a season ago, and that plagued his performance in a couple of games. Now, I mean, we saw what Rojo did last year in his first year playing running back. Remember, he only started playing running back 2 weeks before the season began because Texas had so many injuries in the backfield. Rojo had to move from QB to running back. It was his first year ever playing running back, and he actually played pretty well. Averaged more than 5 yards a carry, 600-plus rushing yards a season ago. Now he's got a full offseason. Well, hard to call this offseason a full offseason because of the pandemic, but he's focused on being a running back for the first offseason of his football career. So it's safe to assume that he's gotten better, and he looked pretty damn good last year. I mean, he looked natural playing the running back position, both as a runner and as a pass-catching threat out of the backfield. And Bijan Robinson, obviously we haven't seen him at the collegiate level, but number one running back recruit in the country. And if you've seen his high school film, it is high school, but man, this guy looks damn good. Damn good. I can't wait to see him on Saturdays in the fall. And by all accounts, this guy is an absolute stud, a guy who's going to be fighting for playing time very early on in his Texas career. And Tom Herman talks about it all the time, right? This is a meritocracy. Just because you've been on campus, just because you're an upperclassman, just because you've played before, doesn't necessarily mean you are going to start. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get all of the snaps. We've seen that at times with freshmen getting playing opportunities early. We saw it with Caden Stearns a couple of years ago. We saw it with Jordan Whittington last year in the Louisiana Tech game. Of course, he got hurt in that game, but he was playing. And he was playing in the first half. It wasn't like it was a blowout and then Jordan Whittington entered the game. He got some opportunity early on. So Tom Herman has proven that, hey, if you're really good, I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're a true freshman. I don't care if it's your first game as a college player. If you're good enough, you are going to play. So I expect Bijan Robinson to get some playing time, and I hope he gets some playing time. I think he's that good of a weapon and can be that much of a difference maker for this team. So hearing that Kiante Ingram is hurt and battling a hamstring injury, you'd like to think, 51 days from now, that's the scheduled kickoff for Texas and South Florida, you'd like to think that the hammy will be okay by then. But if it's not, or if we get into fall camp and Ingram can't get all of the reps that he needs to be getting, I think there's an opportunity that Rojo and Bijan Robinson are going to get a lot of carries in the first couple of weeks of the season. I would still expect Kiante Ingram to be the starter, but I'm telling you, this is more of a position battle than a lot of people are making it out to be. And I've been saying this for a couple of months, right? This isn't just Ingram's got this hamstring injury, so now Rojo and Bijan have a shot. I was always curious, like, okay, Ingram's probably going to get the first carry, but man, he had some games last year where he didn't show up. LSU in week 2, 10 carries, 29 yards, 0 catches. Of course, had that. I'm sorry to do this, guys. Sorry to bring this up, but of course had that fourth down and goal drop in the end zone early in the game. The Oklahoma game a year ago up in Dallas, 2 carries for 9 yards, had 0 yards receiving in that one as well. The game in Ames against Iowa State, the loss to the Cyclones, 8 carries for 9 yards. Now, Ingram had some damn good games last year, too. Over 100 yards and a touchdown in the Alamo Bowl. Went off against K-State, I think $140 and 2 scores, and that one was really good against Oklahoma State. He's a good player. He's a damn good player. He's had some damn good games in his first 2 years on the 40, but he just hasn't been that consistent. Whether it's injuries that have been bothering him or whether it's just something else. I don't know. I almost think it's a mental thing at times with Kiante Ingram where he's not fully engaged, and you kind of heard the coaches hint towards stuff like that last year. I don't know what it is, but week in and week out, Kiante Ingram has not been as reliable as you would like for him to be, and I think that's another thing that kind of opens the door a little bit more for Rojo and Bijan Robinson. Just need more consistency out of Kiante Ingram. So let me know y'all's thoughts. We've got the live chat rolling right now. CB, what's up? Yeah, waiting for the Washington Redskins bombshell to drop. That thing has been teased, I feel like, for 3 or 4 days at this point, but doesn't sound good. Figured the name change story would be the biggest story coming out of DC football this week, but apparently that's not the case. Michael, what's up? From the Rio Grande Valley, the RGV. Love that. How you doing, Mike? Yes, Texas 1 Doak Walker Award behind Wisconsin. Yeah, that's right. Longhorns 4 Doak Walker Award winners. Wisconsin has 5. They've got the most. I guess Deontay Foreman won the Doak Walker a couple of years ago in 2016. Now Kiante Ingram's on the watch list. And look, I don't know how much of an accolade it is. I feel like I'm just ragging on Kiante Ingram. I don't mean to do that. He's a good kid. He's a good player. So many people get on these preseason award watch lists. I mean, it's just ridiculous, whether it's the Davey O'Brien or the Bolitnikoff or the Bednarik Award. I mean, you got dozens and dozens of players all over the country showing up on these lists. It's almost like if you're not on one of these lists, your starting job is in jeopardy. Like you might not even be a starter on your own team if you don't show up on the preseason award watch list for your specific position. A little surprised. I don't know. Actually, I'm not surprised that Kiante Ingram was on there because so many people make the list. But I don't know if I would peg him as a guy who is a Doak Walker, a legitimate Doak Walker candidate at the end of the year. I'm not even sure he's the best running back on this football team. Jordan Whittington, a couple other news and nuggets before we get out of here. Texas football tweeted out the video on Tuesday of Jordan Whittington working out a little bit, doing some running drills, had some weighted vests that he was working with. By all accounts, he's 100% healthy. 3 surgeries to repair sports hernia and clean up some stuff that was going on. With that, he apparently is 100%. He's running full speed. He's cutting full speed. And, man, I mean, that guy, you know he's determined. You know he's ready to get out there and show what he's got. And if he's healthy, he's going to be a special, special player, the crown jewel of that 2019 recruiting class. He's not going to do what Devin Duvernay did. That was remarkable, what Devin Duvernay did last year and what Lil Jordan Humphrey did 2 years ago in the slot. But, man, I mean, having Jordan Whittington and Jake Smith in that H position, those guys allow for you to do so much. You can line them up in the backfield, give them some carries, and obviously they can be weapons in the slot as well. And we've seen, once again, over the last 2 years, how important that H position is to the success of this Texas offense. Speaking of wide receivers, thank you for letting me know, CB. No Longhorn receivers on the Biletnikoff Award watch list. I don't think that should surprise anybody. There's a lot of question marks at the wide receiver position this year. Another new nugget, I should say, Josh Moore, who a couple of months ago we were talking about potential X factors or potential sleepers, guys that not enough people are talking about who could make an impact for Texas in 2020. And I brought up Joshua Moore, who of course was suspended last year for a misdemeanor gun charge. By all accounts, he is looking great right now, and by some accounts, he was the best receiver Texas had at practice at times last year. He could still practice with the team, just couldn't play, and he looked really good last year, and apparently he's looking really, really good right now. He might even be the man to beat for that Z wide receiver position on the outside. So look out for Joshua Moore. Not a guy that people are talking about a whole lot. Had that big catch against USC 2 years ago. Had a couple of other catches in that game, but didn't do too much in his first year on campus. Obviously sat out last year, but that is a guy to look out for this year. And then, by the way, speaking of wide receivers, Brennan Eagles, who of course posted on social media a couple of weeks ago saying that he wouldn't be playing a snap of college football this year. He's been there. He has not missed a meeting or a voluntary workout. He's been part of every mandatory team activity this week. The day after he posted that tweet on social media, he was working out with Sam Ehlinger and put it on his Instagram. So Brendan Eagles, by all accounts, going to be a part of this team in 2020. That's a damn good thing. Your number one X receiver going into the year, and you don't have a whole lot coming back on the outside. That is a guy that you need to have on this football team. Glad he is back. So I think that's it. I think that's going to wrap it up. I got to get to the station. Will Ferrell's birthday today, so we're cutting up some Will Ferrell audio from the BK Lounge at 6:30. We're going to get into this conversation, I believe, at 3:30, just talking about Kiante Ingram and the Texas running backs and whether or not we've got more of a position battle, whether or not there's more of a competition to be RB1 on this football team in 2020. I'm telling you, even if Ingram is fully healthy by the start of the season, even if he technically is your starter and gets your first carry, Rojo and Bijan are going to get a lot of carries this year. And if Kiante Ingram has the consistency issues that he had last year, you better watch out. Honestly, he might find himself sliding down the depth chart a little bit because Texas is just so loaded in the backfield this year. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Plenty coming up on the show today. The triple option with RBKD from 3 to 7. Be on the lookout for that. Thank you all for watching. I will, it's my second one of these this week. I'm doing a better job, trying to do at least 2 or 3 of these per week. If you guys have any comments, put them below, and I will try to address them. And if y'all have any ideas for movies, let me know. For videos, let me know, and we will get to those. All right, guys, y'all have a good one. Have a good day. Have a good weekend, and I'll talk to y'all soon.